It's the nature of our democracy that many, if not most, parliamentary seats are safe as houses, with voters having virtually no chance of tipping out incumbent MPs. The real choice of who will represent these electorates is made at the pre-selection of the candidate by the local party branch. So it's imperative that pre-selection ballots be democratic and good candidates get a fair go. But many of these crucial ballots are a sham. In the Labor Party especially, the vote is often rigged by stacking branches with fake members whose support for a faction's desired candidate has been bought. This practice flies in the face of Labor's commitment to social justice and democracy for all. Yet it's become so blatant in Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia that some of Labor's own have now broken ranks in disgust and are calling on the federal leadership to root out the corrupting influence of the ALP factions. Our cover story is reported by Sunday's Paul Ransley.
Votes. His enemies say he was given the safe Labor seat as a reward for branch stacking South Americans into other electorates on behalf of the right.
We were planning to have branches in every single suburb of Melbourne.
One of his recruiters was Salvador Nunez, who was told by L'Anguila not to worry about membership fees.
He said, well, no problem. So, you know, we'll pay for those people. We asked just to sign the form and, you know.
Salvador estimates that in a few months they'd recruited 1,000 Latin Americans who were all expected to vote where directed by L'Anguila and his ally Carlos Baldovino. Baldovino is now the candidate for an upper house seat. According to Daniel Alvarez, neither would brook interference in their quest for power. He once campaigned against them for an internal party position. He claims they came to his house to threaten him. Baldovino did the talking.
He was very serious and, and he accentuated the words. If I have to use a shotgun, I will use a bazooka. And if I have to use a bazooka, I will use missiles. You know, and he counted them off on his fingers as he was saying it.
And the purpose of using these weapons was to... Well,
to stop me from talking to anybody that within the Latin American community that were so-called his people.
So you took it as a threat?
Well, I certainly took it as a threat.
There's no doubt in your mind it was a threat?
There was no doubt.
Both L'Anguila and Baldovino have denied the allegation, though declined offers to appear on Sunday.
It was a business-like atmosphere as party delegates overwhelmingly backed a cross-factional deal to end branch stacking.
12 months ago, the embarrassment of Sunshine and other controversial pre-selection ballots forced Victorian Labor to take action. An inquiry by barrister Mark Dreyfus resulted in a number of proposals to address the problem. Most were adopted by a state conference, though a key recommendation requiring candidates to pledge that they'd never been involved in branch stacking was rejected. For many, though, the Dreyfus report was no more than a first tentative step. Some suggest it has made no difference.
Well, I don't think it stopped it, to be quite honest with you. And we've had a couple of pre-selections there of recent times, and the more recent one was the Holt pre-selection, and prior to that I was involved in the Melton pre-selection, and it didn't stop anything.
The most recent factional battle was the safe Labor seat of Holt, vacated by retiring MP Gareth Evans. Any similarity to a democratic election here was purely coincidental, as could be seen when the factional heavies and arm twisters went to work. Representing the right was a relative unknown, Labor apparatchik Anthony Byrne, who works for Victorian Senator Jacinta Collins. The left's candidate with far better credentials was Jill Hennessy, at 27, president of the Victorian Labor Party, a lawyer born in the area and a prominent party activist.
Jill Hennessy, thank you. Hello, Jill Hennessy.
If this were a normal poll, Hennessy would have been a shoo-in, but it was a farce. Most of the voters here had been told how to vote by the factional bosses. It's estimated that at least 90% of Holt's 1,000 members were stacked.
Something like 92% of the membership are paying a concessional fee. I would argue that doesn't accurately reflect the socio-economic nature of the area. It suggests that they've been stacked. The argument is that if you're buying memberships, then you're not going to pay a fee higher than you need to pay.
Our questions confirmed that for some voters, this was the first Labor Party function they'd attended.
Have you ever attended any ALP meeting?
No.
I do not speak enough English.
Not yet, because I was very busy.
No.
You don't?
Too far away.
I can't because I work night shift.
I just got work commitments. Yeah.
I intend to be a good boy next year, next year, yeah. Okay, thanks.
And it's clear that others went home still unsure of why they'd been here.
I hate politics. I'm doing this because I have to.
Against the odds, Hennessy scraped home by 73 votes. What happened next was pure Victorian Labor. You see, the party's central panel also has a say in who gets the seat, and it's dominated by the right, which did a deal with one of the left-wing factions to freeze Hennessy out. The endorsement went to Byrne.
Never heard of the bloke that got up, and there's no doubt that Hennessy was a person that has talent.
The party's decision to knife its own talented president in the back stunned even the most cynical political observers. Ian Baker believes that there are now so few real members in the party that it has fallen under the spell of a handful of powermongers, many in trade unions, who have thrown democracy out the window.
The compensating numbers have reduced to such a level that those union warlords have become all-powerful, too powerful.
Union figures play a key role in the Victorian ALP's factions, of which there is a confusing multitude. They're grouped loosely into two main camps, Labor Unity on the right and the Socialist left, but are then split into tiny warring fiefdoms based around personalities rather than ideologies. Most parliamentarians and party officials owe their jobs to these camps, who in turn depend on the support of trade unions for survival.
A number of trade unions have funds, and these funds that I see aren't recorded within their rightful audits.
They're slush funds.
Well, slush funds, call them what you may call them.
To pay for new recruits.
New recruits.
In the Victorian Parliament last year, Liberal backbencher Jeff Lee revealed details of a slush fund which was set up by a faction within the Australian Workers' Union. Lee claimed that it once contained $300,000, which was used for branch stacking. One of the signatories, a former State Secretary of the Union, Bob Smith, is now the ALP's candidate for the upper house seat of Chelsea. He declined an interview with Sunday, but has denied the allegation. Not all trade unions are happy about what's been happening.
I think it's reached the stage where it's just over the top. You just can't tolerate the bastardisation of ALP processes the way it's going on. And I just think it's too extreme. None of it was ever right, but the party can't allow it to continue. Otherwise, it's going to rip the party apart.
But fixing the problem may be well beyond many of the party's bosses, simply because they're also tainted. For example, the Secretary-elect of the Victorian ALP, David Feeney, was himself embroiled in a branch stacking scandal in 1994, and because of it was forced to leave his job in the office of the then opposition leader, John Brumby. Feeney is an official of the right-wing Transport Workers Union, who recently admitted in a defamation case that he gave financial support to a factional ally who was mounting a takeover of a non-aligned union. Interfering in another union's affairs won't inspire confidence in his leadership of the party.
Now, once I heard that and saw actual proof that there's been action taken against him, I can no longer be part of that party.
Mr Feeney declined an invitation to appear on Sunday. The opposition leader, Steve Bracks, also went to extraordinary lengths to avoid our cameras. Rather than cross the footpath from ALP headquarters to his car and risk being asked a question about branch stacking, Mr Bracks attempted to leave the building by the back door. When our camera followed, the driver locked himself and the car in a garage. It was nearly an hour before Mr Bracks emerged.